Hello and welcome to this video. I want to guide you through the steps that you need to take to be able to paint your old and dirty doors. This door has been exposed to the weather for a long time and now it's time to make it beautiful, give it a nice fresh look and save it. So you see that it has a lot of dirt, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a good product to be able to clean it. The product that we're going to use is called TSP. This one you can find it at your hardware store. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this powder, put it into a little bit of warm water, and using a rag and a scrubbing pad, we're gonna go ahead and start scrubbing all that dirt out. This material is really good, but if you have hands that are really sensitive, I recommend you to use some gloves so you don't have an issue with the material, just like when you're washing dishes and things like that. So I want to make sure that you protect yourself if you have that issue. Let's start by removing obviously the easiest part, which is removing the dirt that is right on top, but there is some other stubborn spots around that we want to go ahead and take with the little scrubbing pad. Now if you have some dishwashing pads, that will work as well, but this one is designed for, like, you know, painting and cleaning and all the stuff, so it's really good. You can get it at the paint store and you can keep it for your projects. Every time that I paint over old moldings and old doors, I like to give it a nice scrub and clean it. Follow my social media on YouTube as Hugo Correa and on Facebook in Spanish as Hugo Correa DIY. You can ask questions, you can share this content, and you can help so many other people by just, you know, teaching what I'm showing you over here. Now, the next important thing that you want to do is that once you scrub this really well, you're going to get some fresh water, clean your rag, and clean it really well. So let it dry and put some covers on the floor so you don't have a lot of paint or mess all over your house. Now, using this beautiful 2.5-inch Worcester brush. This brush is not new. This brush has a lot of months, and I've been using it really well. I'm going to show you some steps so you can keep these brushes really well. The important thing of a brush is it's nice and smooth, and it will have a nice, in this case, a nice angle, so you can get those small little corners. It works really well, and again, the guys from Worcester do a really good job making this brush, so I recommend these brushes. Start with the panels. The panels are the ones that are going to take a good amount of paint, and you want to be generous with the paint in the beginning, because the important thing of applying this paint is that you want to make sure that you cover all these little pores, all these little areas. You don't want to have a lot of transparency on this. You want to make sure that it's covered really well, but the trick is to remove the excess paint from your door, because especially in those bottom corners of the panels, you start seeing some drips, and you want to go ahead and correct those things as you work, because you can see that the paint starts dripping, and you remove the little drips. Now also you want to make sure that you cover those areas really well, and you have a grain. Although this one is not a natural door, you have some grain that kind of follows, and you want to make sure that you follow that. And what I do is that I go ahead and apply a lot of material, make sure that I have everything covered, but then I start following the lines of the grain. So if you notice over here, it was horizontal on that side, but I'm making sure that I follow those vertical lines. And that's what you want to do when you're painting to make it look professional. I took all this advice from a lot of professionals in painting. I mean, I've been learning all these things for many years from people that really knows all these things, and they all confirm that you want to make sure that you apply first, and once you have good amount of material on the surface, you want to follow the grain of the wood. So it's the same thing in the middle of the panel over here. We want to make sure that you follow those lines, and that's why if you see, I'm only using a brush. Now you can use little rollers and things like that if you have a lot of doors to paint, but in this case, using a brush, you can actually leave a beautiful and professional finish. That's what we want. We want to make sure that on the first coat that you apply, you cover all the little areas, grooves and corners, and then on the second coat, you just go ahead and correct a little bit of any transparency here and there, but you don't want to put an excessive amount of paint. If your first coat is nice and thick, and obviously controlled, so it's not dripping, you can paint just slightly on the second coat, just to make sure that everything is nice and organized. And that's what I've been doing over here, making sure that on the second time I go over those areas with lighter amount of paint on my brush, making sure that all these little corners are fine, making sure that everything is nice. Now, never leave your doors closed when you're painting. You want to make sure that they don't get stuck with your frame or get stuck, in this case, against each other in a bifold door. Now, important thing over here is an important tip. Use some warm water, a nice brush. Again, Worcester has some beautiful brushes that are made out of brass, and that helps a lot because when I use the other type of brushes to clean, they don't work really well. So you wanna work with both of them, put a little bit of soap on it, clean it really well, and make sure that you let it dry. You just place it in somewhere where your bristles are not gonna get twisted, and it will be ready to be put back in their case. And that's how you do this type of jobs. If you notice, this brush is gonna last for a long time, and I love it. Look how beautiful it looks like, and this is the result that I want you to have. Remember to follow me in all my social media as Hugo Correa in YouTube and Hugo Correa DIY in Facebook. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.